"Do not drink that." The command came from the maid standing behind Vincent Carroway's chair, and every voice in the dining room stopped. Vincent, 41, pale beneath the warm lights of his Hudson Valley estate, held a crystal glass inches from his mouth. Mara Cole had served in his house for 6 months without raising her voice once. She was 30, black, composed, and usually invisible by professional design. Tonight she crossed the room, took the glass from his hand, and set it down so carefully that the soft click sounded louder than a slammed door. Everett Shaw, Vincent's chief of staff, laughed first. He called her dramatic, then reminded her who owned the house. Mara ignored him. She smelled the rim, looked at the cloudy ring beneath the amber cordial, and asked Vincent what medication his physician had changed that morning. Vincent's expression hardened. No servant was allowed to ask about his health, and no employee challenged Everett in public. Yet a tremor passed through Vincent's fingers. His breath shortened. Mara ordered someone to call emergency services, then moved the centerpiece away and lowered him safely against the chair. She did not name a toxin or pretend certainty. She gave the dispatcher the time, the symptoms, the ingredients listed on the bottle, and the fact that Vincent had swallowed only one small sip. When Dr. Nathan Pike rushed forward with a silver pill case, Mara stopped his hand. Paramedics need to see everything before he takes anything else. Vincent tried to object, but his words blurred. For the first time in years, the feared man whose signature could close businesses and ruin careers had to trust a woman everyone else treated as furniture. Mara kept him awake with direct questions while Everett demanded that the guests leave. She noticed a narrow red wax flake on Everett's cuff, the same shade as the seal on the cordial bottle. She also noticed that the pantry log on the sideboard showed her own initials beside the bottle, although she had never opened it. By the time the ambulance arrived, Vincent could barely lift his head. Mara handed over the glass, the sealed bottle, the medication list, and the altered log. One paramedic asked how a housemaid knew exactly what evidence mattered. Mara looked at Vincent, who was still conscious enough to hear, and answered with a name no one in the room recognized. "Because Mara Cole does not exist. My real name is Maya Ellis, and I was an emergency department nurse before someone made sure I could never use that name safely again." Everett's smile vanished, and Vincent understood that the woman who had just saved him had entered his house carrying a secret as dangerous as his own. Outside, winter rain struck the windows, and inside, the untouched glass waited beneath evidence tape, while every alliance in the estate quietly changed. Vincent woke before dawn in a private hospital room with a heart monitor ticking beside him and Maya seated near the window in her gray housekeeping uniform. The doctors had stabilized him after identifying a dangerous contaminant in the cordial, but they had not yet determined how it entered the bottle. He remembered her hand taking the glass, her refusal to let Nathan give him an unverified pill, and the name she had spoken as if tearing open a locked door. His first question was not gratitude. He asked who had sent her. Maya answered that no rival family, agency, or reporter had placed her in his home. 3 years earlier, she had worked as an emergency nurse at St. Alden Medical Center in New York City. She reported that a private contracting network was altering billing records and diverting medication funds from charity patients. The network's attorneys buried the complaint, and a supervisor accused her of stealing confidential files. Her nursing license was suspended during the investigation. One financial document carried the name Carroway Holdings. She came to the estate under an alias because she believed Vincent's company archives contained proof that the contract had been forged through one of his subsidiaries. Vincent listened without blinking. He had built his power by assuming every explanation hid a second motive, and Maya had admitted to entering his house under false pretenses. Still, the evidence bag on the table held the glass she had protected instead of destroying. Detective questions could wait, but his board would not. Everett had already informed the family office that Vincent had suffered an unexplained medical crisis. If the board declared him impaired, Everett could trigger an emergency management clause and control voting rights for 30 days. Maya said the timing was too convenient. Vincent said convenience was not proof. She replied that proof began with preservation, and Everett had tried to clear the dining room before the paramedics arrived. Then she showed him a photograph she had taken of the pantry log. Her initials had been copied with an error. The writer used a round capital M, while Maya always formed hers with a sharp center point. Vincent noticed another detail. The paper was bright white, unlike the cream ledger sheets ordered for the estate. Someone had replaced an entire page after the household binder had been printed. Olivia Carroway, Vincent's younger sister and corporate counsel, entered carrying a folder and an expression that revealed no surprise at seeing Maya. She said the laboratory had confirmed deliberate contamination and the district attorney would open an inquiry. Then she placed a temporary employment contract on the bed. Vincent could either have Maya detained for fraud or hire her as a confidential records consultant under Olivia's supervision until the source was identified. Maya refused protection unless the contract included access to the St. Aldan subsidiary files. Vincent signed, but added one condition. She would remain at the estate, where he could watch her. As Olivia collected the papers, Maya saw the same red wax flake caught inside the folder Vincent's board used for emergency resolutions. The estate changed by breakfast. Security locked the wine cellar and pantry, employees surrendered access cards, and every conversation stopped when Maya entered. She no longer wore the plain gray uniform. Olivia provided a navy suit, a visitor badge under her real name, and a small office across from Vincent's library. The change did not grant respect. Staff members whispered that the maid had poisoned him and invented a heroic rescue to escape blame. Everett encouraged the rumor without stating it directly. He asked whether anyone knew what else Maya had touched during 6 months of cleaning bedrooms, offices, and locked cabinets. Vincent heard the question from the library doorway. He was weak but standing, his white shirt open at the collar and his face set in the controlled severity that made bankers correct themselves mid-sentence. He ordered Everett to stop conducting a trial in the hallway. Then he turned to Maya and told her that trust was not part of their contract. She said trust was not required for an audit. Their first review focused on the cordial. The bottle had arrived in a gift basket from a foundation partner, passed inspection, and remained sealed in the pantry for 4 days. The pantry camera failed for 11 minutes on the afternoon before the dinner. Everett claimed the outage came from a software update. Maya requested the system log, but he said only executive security could access it. Vincent overruled him. The log showed a manual restart authorized from a terminal in the family office. The account belonged to Olivia. She denied using it and produced a calendar showing she had been in Manhattan. Maya warned Vincent that a stolen credential could make anyone appear guilty. Vincent asked why she defended Olivia when Olivia had the most obvious access. Maya replied that obvious evidence was often arranged for an audience. The comment reminded him of the false St. Aldan accusation against her. He asked whether she had stolen any files. Maya admitted she had copied patient invoices after official channels failed, but she had never sold or altered them. Her choice broke policy and saved proof, yet it also made her easy to discredit. Vincent said rules protected institutions. Maya answered that responsibility protected people. Their argument sharpened until Nathan Pike arrived to examine Vincent. Nathan blamed a clerical mistake, corrected it, and left quickly. Maya found a fiber clinging to the pill case he had carried at dinner. Blue linen, uncommon in the estate uniforms, but identical to the fabric lining Everett's document folders. When she showed Vincent, he did not accuse either man. He locked the fiber in an evidence envelope and asked Olivia to arrange independent testing. Before she left, Maya opened the copied St. Aldan contract and found a signature authorizing the disputed subsidiary payment. It belonged to Vincent, dated during a week when he had been recovering from surgery and had signed nothing at all. Vincent did not deny the signature looked genuine. He studied it under the library lamp, comparing the angle of the V, the pressure line beneath the surname, and the small break where his pen usually lifted. Whoever created it had access to years of originals. The contract directed charity funds through a consulting company called North Quay Services, then into accounts hidden behind legal retainers. Maya recognized the company from the invoices that destroyed her career. Vincent recognized it as an entity Everett had recommended during a restructuring. That connection was still not enough. Everett managed hundreds of vendors, and anyone inside the family office could have reused his proposal. Olivia suggested calling the police immediately. Vincent refused until they understood the emergency board clause. If Everett learned they suspected him, he could claim Vincent was unstable, produce the medical incident as evidence, and seize temporary authority before investigators obtained the archives. Maya disliked the delay. She said every hour allowed records to disappear. Vincent said a careless accusation would let the guilty person control the story. Their positions were opposed, but both came from experience. She feared evidence being buried. He feared power being transferred through panic. They compromised. Olivia would send copies of the contract and cordial evidence to an outside law firm. Maya and Vincent would examine archived approvals without a... The archive room sat beneath the east wing, behind a steel door with two-person access. Vincent entered one code. Maya used Olivia's temporary credential. Inside, shelves held boxed ledgers, old board books, and sealed correspondence from Vincent's father. The search took hours. Vincent tired quickly but refused to leave. Maya placed a chair beside the work table without commenting on his weakness. He accepted it without pretending he had chosen to sit. That quiet exchange created the first narrow bridge between them. In a 2022 board book, Maya found a missing page between two numbered resolutions. The binding thread had been cut and retied. Vincent remembered the meeting. Everett had presented a plan to protect employee pensions during a downturn. The absent resolution must have involved emergency control. They searched duplicate binders and found a carbon copy in a sealed attorney envelope. It authorized Everett to assume temporary voting rights if Vincent became medically incapacitated and Olivia faced a conflict of interest. The copy contained Vincent's authentic signature, but the final paragraph was typed in a different font and added later. Maya noticed a red wax seal on the envelope, cracked along one side. Vincent said only 3 people possessed that family seal: himself, Olivia, and Everett. Then a motion sensor chimed in the corridor. Someone had opened the outer archive door using Nathan Pike's medical access code, a code that should never have worked below the east wing. The lights went dark, not from sabotage, but from a scheduled generator test Everett alone had ordered. In the blackness, Vincent reached for Maya's hand, and she realized the person outside expected them to panic and abandon the evidence. Maya did not pull away. She guided Vincent behind the heavy work table, not because she expected violence, but because the darkness made falls and medical stress more dangerous. She used her phone light only after the corridor door closed again. No one entered the archive room. Whoever had used Nathan's code wanted to confirm their location, not confront them. The generator restored power after 90 seconds. Vincent released Maya's hand, but the imprint of his trust remained in the silence between them. Security footage showed a hooded maintenance worker near the east wing, face hidden by a clipboard and cap. The badge belonged to an employee who was home with influenza. Maya asked for the raw access database rather than the edited video summary. Vincent granted permission. The database showed Nathan's code had been duplicated from a family office terminal 2 months earlier. Olivia traced the terminal to Everett's suite, yet Everett claimed a junior administrator must have used it. He offered to suspend the administrator and present the board with a full security review. Vincent declined. Everett's courtesy became colder. He reminded Vincent that investors were already asking whether the estate was safe and whether its leader remained competent. Maya watched Vincent absorb the humiliation without showing it. His reputation had always depended on appearing untouchable. Now every responsible action could be framed as fear. Later, in the library, Maya told him that survival was not weakness. Vincent answered that in his world, weakness was whatever other people could make believable. She understood. Her career had ended because a false story reached the public before her documents did. She showed him the original patient invoices stored in an encrypted drive. They proved funds had vanished from St. Alden, but not who authorized the diversion. Vincent compared the invoice dates to his travel calendar and discovered every false approval occurred while he was sedated after surgery or outside the country. Everett had managed signature packets during those absences. Maya expected anger. Instead, Vincent asked how many patients had lost services. She said 43 families faced delayed treatment support, and 1 free clinic closed its evening program. Vincent stared at the numbers longer than at the forged signature. He ordered Olivia to restore the missing funds anonymously before the investigation became public. Maya warned that repayment could look like an admission. He said responsibility did not wait for public relations. It was the first moral choice she had seen him make without bargaining. That evening, she found a pharmacy invoice in Nathan's medical file for a private delivery he denied ordering. The invoice listed a sealed emergency kit sent to the estate 1 day before the dinner, signed for by Everett's assistant. The assistant's name was misspelled, and the delivery company confirmed no employee had made the drop. Someone had created a paper trail designed to implicate Nathan. When Maya returned to Vincent's study, Everett was already there holding her encrypted drive and asking why a former nurse had brought stolen hospital records into the home of the man she blamed. Everett placed the drive on Vincent's desk as though presenting a verdict. He said Maya had lied about her identity, entered restricted rooms, copied financial files, and now possessed evidence from a hospital investigation. The simplest explanation, he argued, was that she contaminated the cordial to force Vincent into hiring her. Nathan stood beside him, pale and angry, insisting the forged pharmacy invoice proved someone wanted his medical access exposed. Olivia asked how Everett had obtained Maya's drive. He claimed a security sweep found it in the guest room assigned to her. Maya said it had been locked inside her office drawer. Everett replied that liars often blamed locks. Vincent asked security to show the chain of custody record. No record existed. Everett had personally carried the drive from the room. That mistake prevented his accusation from becoming decisive, but the damage was done. 2 board members joined by video and demanded Maya's removal. Vincent could defend her and appear compromised, or surrender her and preserve his authority. He ordered everyone out except Maya. When the doors closed, he asked whether any record on the drive had been altered. She said no. He asked whether she had entered his home intending to expose him publicly. She said she had intended to find the truth, even if the truth destroyed him. The answer hurt more than a denial would have. Vincent told her he could not protect someone whose original plan included his ruin. Maya replied that protection was never what she asked for. She wanted access, accountability, and the chance to clear her name. Their first fragile trust broke under the weight of intentions neither could soften. Vincent suspended her contract and confined her access to the guest wing until Olivia completed an independent review. Maya accepted without pleading. Before leaving, she told him Everett had focused on her drive because he feared the dates on it, not because it proved poisoning. Alone, Vincent reviewed the dining room footage frame by frame. He saw Everett leave his seat 7 minutes before the toast, Nathan enter from the hall, and Maya carry a tray from the pantry. Any of them could be framed by the sequence. Then he noticed a reflection in the silver coffee service. Everett handing Nathan the pill case before dinner, not Nathan bringing it himself. Vincent called Olivia, but her phone went unanswered. In the guest wing, Maya examined the only item security had not taken, her copy of the hospital complaint. A notary stamp on the final page bore a serial number. She searched the state registry and found the notary had retired a year before the document was supposedly witnessed. The false complaint against her, Vincent's forged approvals, and the altered board resolution had all been authenticated through the same legal services office. Its registered manager was Olivia Carroway. Maya looked toward the locked door, uncertain whether Olivia was the architect or another name chosen for blame. Then Vincent looked at Everett, then ordered Olivia to open the annex. Olivia arrived breathless and handed Maya her phone. She had missed Vincent's call because she was speaking with the retired notary. The man confirmed that his stamp had been reported stolen from the legal services office 3 years earlier. Olivia admitted the office carried her name because Vincent's father had created it for her before she became counsel, but Everett had managed its vendors and retained access after she moved to the family company. The pattern shifted. Olivia was not cleared, yet the common point was now stronger. Vincent reinstated Maya's contract in front of the staff, accepting the cost of reversing himself. He said her warning would be treated as professional judgment, not servant intuition. The words did not repair everything, but they placed responsibility on him. In the annex, they found several boxes moved from their assigned shelves. One contained signature packets from Vincent's surgery. Another held security maintenance invoices. A third was empty except for blue linen fibers and a cracked piece of red sealing wax. Everett called the discovery theatrical and accused Olivia of staging it. Maya asked him a simple question. Why had he known which box was empty before anyone read its label? Everett went silent for half a second, then said he had reviewed the inventory earlier. Olivia checked the audit history. No review was recorded. Vincent did not order Everett detained. He knew a premature move could still trigger the emergency clause through Everett's allies. Instead, he announced a special board session tomorrow, open to outside counsel, hospital representatives, and the company's employee trustee. He would present evidence publicly and allow a vote on his leadership. Everett accepted too easily. Maya suspected he possessed one final document. Nathan finally asked for protection and admitted Everett had instructed him to keep Vincent's medication changes off the hospital portal, claiming privacy concerns. Nathan had obeyed because Everett threatened to expose old billing mistakes. He denied contaminating the cordial, but admitted giving Everett access to the medical schedule. His testimony connected opportunity to planning, yet it did not identify who handled the bottle. Maya returned to the pantry and studied the replacement ledger page. Under angled light, faint impressions appeared from the sheet once written above it. The impressions formed a delivery time, Everett's initials, and an archive number. Olivia entered it into the vendor registry. It belonged to the legal office that authenticated every disputed document. An escrow folder attached to the record could be opened during a board challenge or criminal inquiry. Everett had overlooked an archive created by Vincent's father, and it might contain communications. Outside counsel opened the escrow folder and preserved its contents on an independent server. Before the board session, Maya and Vincent reviewed every item on a long table in the conservatory: the contaminated bottle, the copied pantry page, raw access logs, the forged pharmacy invoice, the altered resolution, the St. Alban payment records, Nathan's statement, and the newly released communications. The evidence formed a careful, independently preserved chain, but Vincent understood that Everett would attack the witnesses rather than the facts. He offered Maya a chance to leave before her suspended license and copied records became public. She asked whether he planned to hide his own failures. He said no. She answered that she would not ask him to do what she refused to do herself. The board assembled under public scrutiny in the estate ballroom, where rain pressed against the tall windows and reporters waited beyond the gates. Everett opened with confidence. He described Vincent as medically vulnerable, Olivia as conflicted, Nathan as compromised, and Maya as an intruder using a false identity. Then he produced a notarized declaration supposedly signed by Maya before her employment, stating that she and Olivia had planned to create false financial records together. Maya examined the seal on the projected image. The serial number matched the stolen notary stamp. Everett had repeated the same tool because he believed official appearance mattered more than origin. Olivia presented the registry confirmation. Outside counsel verified the timestamp on Everett's file. It had been created that morning on his office computer. Everett claimed someone had remotely planted it. The security vendor answered with raw server logs showing no external access. Nathan testified that Everett controlled the medication schedule and delivered the pill case. Outside counsel then displayed the escrowed communications. They showed Everett ordering replacement pantry ledgers, backdated vendor entries, and duplicate security codes. Additional emails described a plan to create a temporary health crisis, activate the emergency clause, and destroy the St. Alban records during the transition. They did not describe the contaminant, but they proved intent and coordination. The laboratory chain of custody connected residue on the bottle seal to material found in Everett's private desk kit, while the red wax and blue linen fibers matched his document supplies. Vincent spoke last. He admitted that his secrecy, harsh management, and reliance on one powerful deputy had created conditions where fraud could grow. He waived the emergency clause, submitted his authority to an independent trustee for 30 days, and asked the board to remove Everett rather than protect Vincent's image. The vote was nearly unanimous. As investigators escorted Everett to a private interview room, he looked at Maya and said Vincent would discard her once she was no longer useful. Vincent did not answer for her. He turned to Maya and asked, before the entire board, whether she wished to stay by choice rather than contract. Maya did not answer in the ballroom. Choice, she had learned, became meaningless when made under an audience's pressure. She told Vincent she would finish her statement to investigators, then decide after the facts no longer depended on her presence. He accepted that boundary. Over the next month, the inquiry widened without spectacle. Everett was charged with financial fraud, evidence tampering, and conspiracy related to the medical incident. Nathan cooperated, surrendered his private role, and faced professional review for concealing medication changes. Olivia separated the family legal office from Carroway Holdings and invited an outside ethics firm to examine her own oversight. Vincent kept his promise to place authority with an independent trustee. He attended every review, answered questions he once would have silenced, and authorized restitution to St. Alden and the clinics affected by the diverted funds. The hospital's licensing board reopened Maya's case after receiving the forged complaint, the stolen notary evidence, and Everett's escrowed emails. Maya admitted copying invoices outside policy, but the board recognized that her whistleblower report had been deliberately corrupted. Her nursing license was restored with a supervised return program rather than erased consequences. She chose not to return to emergency work immediately. Instead, she accepted a temporary role designing patient protection audits for the restored charity fund, reporting to an independent committee rather than Vincent. The arrangement mattered because it made her work hers. At the estate, the gray-maid uniform disappeared from her closet, but she kept one brass room key on her desk as a reminder that people who seemed invisible often saw the truth first. Vincent changed more slowly. He reduced private surveillance, ended loyalty clauses that punished employees for reporting misconduct, and required every emergency decision to carry 2 outside approvals. His world did not become gentle, and he did not pretend his past could be repaired by one public vote. Yet he learned to ask before commanding. Maya learned that accepting care did not weaken the truth she carried. Months later, they met in the conservatory after an employee pension meeting. No contract remained between them. No investigation required proximity. Vincent told her that when she took the glass from his hand, he first believed she had challenged his authority. Now he understood she had challenged his certainty, which was harder and more valuable. Maya said saving his life did not obligate her to give him a place in it. He agreed. Then he asked whether she would choose dinner with him, away from the estate, without staff, lawyers, or secrets. She considered the man who had once treated trust as leverage and now offered a question he could survive hearing answered with no. Maya said yes, not as Mara Cole, not as an employee, and not as a witness. She said yes as Maya Ellis. Vincent smiled with no victory in it, only relief. Beyond the glass, the Hudson Valley evenings settled over a house no longer protected by silence. The poison had exposed betrayal, but the truth had done more than save him. It had returned both of them to lives they could choose freely, and when they walked out together, neither followed the other.